In a quiet village nestled deep within the mountains, an ancient legend haunted the locals. They whispered of a forbidden spell, one that could twist fate and bring about unspeakable horrors. It was known as the Curse of the Spell. One cold evening, Elara, a young woman in search of knowledge, stumbled upon an old tome in the village's abandoned library. The book was bound in a strange, leathery material, its pages brittle with age. Intrigued, she opened it, her fingers trembling as she read the words that no one was ever meant to utter aloud. The moment the final incantation left her lips, the air around her grew cold, and a deep, guttural voice echoed through the room. "You have awoken the curse." From that night forward, strange and terrifying things began to happen in the village. Shadows moved on their own, whispers filled the air, and those who ventured out after dark were never seen again. Elara realized too late that she had unleashed an ancient evil, a force that thrived on fear and despair. As the curse spread, Elara was haunted by visions of twisted creatures and cursed spirits, all seeking revenge for the spell she had awakened. The village slowly fell into madness, with each person succumbing to their worst fears. Desperate to end the terror she had caused, Elara set out on a dangerous journey to find the only thing that could break the curse, a relic hidden in the heart of a forsaken forest, guarded by a creature born from the very spell she had cast. But time was running out. The curse grew stronger with every passing moment, and soon, not even Elara would be able to escape its deadly grip. Would she break the curse before it consumed everything she loved, or would the spell's dark power claim her soul too? The answer lay within the shadows, waiting to strike. Elara ventured deep into the forsaken forest, the sky above darkening as the curse tightened its grip on the land. The trees seemed to whisper warnings, their branches clawing at her as she passed. Every step felt heavier, as if the very earth was trying to pull her down into the depths of the curse she had unleashed. In her hands, she clutched the torn page from the ancient Tomian old, cryptic map drawn in blood. It was said that the relic she sought was hidden within the heart of this cursed forest, in a place where time stood still and no living soul had ever returned. The closer she got, the more the air around her thickened with malevolence. Suddenly, a figure darted between the trees' shadow, barely visible in the fog. Elara froze, her heart pounding. She could feel the presence watching her, waiting for the right moment to strike. She wasn't alone. "Who's there?" she called out, her voice betraying the fear she had tried to suppress. The shadow remained silent, but she could hear something moving, the sound of brittle twigs snapping under unseen footsteps. And then she saw Ida, a twisted figure emerging from the fog. Its skin was pale and cracked, its eyes sunken deep into its skull. This was one of the creatures born from the curse, a spirit trapped between life and death. Elara held her breath, clutching a small charm she had brought from the village. It was said to repel the cursed spirits, but only for a short time. The creature stared at her, its hollow eyes filled with endless hunger. Then, in a voice that sounded like it hadn't been used in centuries, it spoke, "You will not find what you seek. The curse cannot be undone." Elara took a step back, her mind racing. But there was no turning back now. The relic was the only chance she had to stop the madness, to save her village and herself. With renewed determination, she sprinted deeper into the forest, the creature's piercing scream echoing behind her. Hours passed, though it felt like days. Her body ached, her lungs burned, and still, the cursed spirits followed her, never letting her out of their sight. Just as her strength was fading, she stumbled into a clearing. Before her stood a massive stone altar, covered in thick vines. At the center, resting on a pedestal, was the relic, a shimmering crystal, pulsating with a strange, dark energy. Elara approached it slowly, her hands trembling. The air around the altar felt heavier, almost suffocating. This was its source of the curse. But as her fingers brushed the crystal, a voice boomed from the shadows, far more powerful than the spirits she had encountered before. "You dare to touch what is not yours?" From the darkness, a figure materialized, an ancient sorcerer, cloaked in robes of black and gold, his eyes glowing with a supernatural light. This was the one who had cast the original spell, the master of the curse. His face was twisted in a cruel smile as he looked down at Elara. "You cannot undo what has been done," the sorcerer hissed. "The curse feeds on your fear, your guilt. It lives because of you." Elara felt the weight of his words sink in. Had she really been the one to breathe life into this evil? But there was no time to question now. With all the strength she could muster, she grabbed the relic and raised it high. The ground beneath her trembled, the air crackling with energy. But as she tried to shatter the crystal, the sorcerer raised his hand, and Elara was thrown backward, crashing hard into the ground. Pain shot through her body, but she held onto the relic, refusing to let go. "Only one sacrifice can break the curse," the sorcerer whispered, stepping closer. "And it must be paid in blood." Elara's heart raced as she understood what he meant. She had to offer her own life to end the curse. But was she willing to pay that price? With the relic pulsing in her hands and the cursed spirits closing in, Elara knew the choice she had to make. Would she sacrifice herself to save her village? Or would she find another way to defy the ancient evil and escape with her life? Elara lay on the cold ground, the sorcerer's words echoing in her mind. "One sacrifice can break the curse, and it must be paid in blood." Her body screamed in pain, and her vision blurred, but she knew time was running out. The cursed spirits had gathered at the edge of the clearing, their hollow eyes fixed on her, waiting for the sorcerer's command to strike. The relic still pulsed in her hand, its dark energy growing stronger with every passing moment. Elara's thoughts raced. Was this truly the only way? Must she give up her life to end the horror she had unleashed? The sorcerer stepped closer, his eyes gleaming with cruel amusement. "Do you understand now, child? The curse is eternal. You cannot simply erase it. You must become part of it." But as Elara gazed at the relic, she felt something stir deep within her. There had to be another way. Sacrificing herself would only continue the cycle of pain and death. The curse wasn't just a punishment, it was a trap, one that had ensnared souls for generations. Perhaps, just perhaps, there was a way to break the curse without feeding it further. She struggled to her feet, gripping the relic tighter. "No," she whispered, her voice trembling but determined. "I won't let you win." The sorcerer's smile faded, his expression darkening. "You fool. You think you can defy what has existed for centuries? The curse is power. It will consume you." Elara's mind raced as she recalled the words from the ancient tome. Hidden among the dark incantations was a single line, one that had seemed insignificant at the time, but now echoed in her memory. "The curse is bound by fear, but it can be severed by truth." Fear had always been the key. The curse thrived on the terror of those it claimed, twisting their minds and trapping their souls. But what if Elara refused to give in? What if she faced the truth of her actions, the guilt that had haunted her since the day she spoke the spell? Could the curse be broken by something as simple as acceptance? Taking a deep breath, Elara closed her eyes and focused on the relic's energy. It pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat, but instead of letting its dark power consume her, she concentrated on her own thoughts, her guilt, her fear, and the choices she had made. "That I am not afraid," she whispered, her voice growing stronger. "I take responsibility for what I've done, but I will not be your puppet." The sorcerer hissed, his form flickering as the ground trembled beneath them. The relic in her hands began to change. Its dark glow faded, replaced by a soft, golden light. Elara opened her eyes, watching as the relic shifted, no longer a tool of destruction, but something pure, something hopeful. The cursed spirits hesitated, their forms flickering in the fading darkness. The sorcerer's eyes widened in rage and disbelief. "You think you can cleanse the curse with your pitiful resolve? You are nothing." But Elara felt the change deep within her. She wasn't nothing. She had made a terrible mistake, yes, but she wasn't powerless. The curse had no hold over her unless she allowed it. And she wouldn't. With a final surge of strength, Elara raised the relic and spoke the words she had read in the tome's final passage, the words that held the true key to breaking the spell. The sorcerer screamed, his form unraveling into shadow as the clearing filled with light. The cursed spirits let out mournful cries as they dissolved into the air, their suffering finally coming to an end. As the light engulfed the forest, Elara felt a weight lift from her shoulders. The curse was gone, broken not by blood, but by truth and acceptance. The relic, now a symbol of hope, crumbled in her hands, its purpose fulfilled. She sank to her knees, exhausted but alive. The forest was silent now, peaceful for the first time in centuries. The sorcerer was gone, and with him, the ancient evil that had plagued the land. Elara had survived. But more than that, she had learned the most important lesson of all, that the power to change her fate had always been within her. With the dawn breaking on the horizon, she rose to her feet and began her journey back to the village. The curse was over, and she would ensure that no one ever fell victim to its dark allure again. As Elara made her way out of the cursed forest, the morning light began to filter through the trees, casting a warm, golden glow on the path ahead. The village lay in the distance, peaceful and untouched by the darkness that had once threatened to consume it. She could feel the weight of the curse lifting from the land, but deep inside, there was a lingering unease. The villagers welcomed her back with cautious relief, their faces pale with worry. Though the curse was broken, they had seen enough terror to last a lifetime. Elara assured them that the evil was gone, but the memory of the sorcerer's last words still echoed in her mind. You think you've won, but the curse lives in the hearts of those who fear. The village elder, a kind but weary man, approached Elara as the crowd began to disperse. You've done us a great service, Elara, but are you certain it's truly over? Elara hesitated. She wanted to believe it was, but something inside her told her that the sorcerer's influence hadn't vanished completely. The curse had been broken, but its shadow still lingered in the hearts of those who had witnessed its horrors. I don't know, Elara admitted. I've destroyed the relic and dispelled the curse, but the fear remains. It's as if the curse still lingers in our minds, waiting for the right moment to return. The elder nodded gravely. Fear is a powerful force, Elara. You may have defeated the curse, but its memory will haunt us. We must be vigilant. Darkness has a way of creeping back when we least expect it. That night, as the village celebrated its newfound freedom, Elara slipped away to the edge of the forest. She stood at the boundary, staring into the shadows, wondering if the sorcerer's dark magic was truly gone or merely dormant. Suddenly, she felt a cold breeze brush against her skin, and a whisper carried on the wind. It was faint, barely audible, but unmistakable. I will return. Elara's heart skipped a beat. She looked around, but the forest was silent. Could it have been her imagination? Or was there something darker at play, something she hadn't yet uncovered? Determined to find answers, Elara decided she couldn't stay in the village. She needed to understand the true origin of the curse and how it had come to be. If there were more ancient forces like the sorcerer, if his dark magic could resurface, then the threat was far. She packed her belongings the next morning, her mind set on finding the source of the sorcerer's power. As she prepared to leave, the elder approached her again. Leaving so soon? He asked, though his tone suggested he understood her reasons. I have to know for sure, Elara replied. The curse may be broken, but I feel there's more out there, more that we don't understand. I can't let this happen again. The elder placed a hand on her shoulder. You've done more than we could ever ask of you, Elara. But remember, the path you're choosing is dangerous. Ancient magic is not easily defeated, and there are forces in this world far older and far darker than we know. Elara nodded, knowing the risks but feeling a sense of purpose. I'm not afraid anymore, she said. I need to do this. With the elder's blessing, Elara set off on a new journey. She traveled far beyond the village, seeking out old libraries, forgotten ruins, and hidden places where ancient magic still lingered. Along the way, she encountered scholars, mystics, and others who had crossed paths with dark forces, all of them warning her of the dangers that lay ahead. Weeks turned into months, and Elara's quest took her deeper into the unknown. She learned of other curses, older than the one she had broken, and of dark sorcerers who had harnessed the power of fear for centuries. The deeper she went, the more she realized that the curse she had faced was only a fragment of a much larger, more sinister force. One night, as she camped in the ruins of an ancient temple, she discovered an inscription carved into the stone. It spoke of a being known as the Weaver of Shadows, an entity older than time itself, who spun curses into the fabric of the world. It was said that the Weaver thrived on fear, feeding on the nightmares of the living, and that no curse could truly be broken as long as fear remained. Elara's heart sank as she read the words. Could the Weaver be the source of the sorcerer's power? Was the curse she had faced just one of many threads in a vast, dark web of magic? Her journey had only just begun. If the Weaver of Shadows truly existed, then breaking the curse in her village was only the first step. To truly end the cycle of fear and darkness, she would have to find the Weaver itself and confront the ancient force at the heart of all curses. Elara looked out into the dark horizon, knowing that the path ahead would be fraught with danger. But she had made her choice. She would not stop until the curse was gone for good. With her resolve stronger than ever, she packed her things and set off once again, ready to face whatever shadows awaited.